So today we've got David Olds. Okay. So Dave is the expert. Dave's the man behind the scenes. Okay. So he's the one that has been working with us now and tons of other investors. It's just the secret's been out of the bag for a long time about how great his company is. And so we wanted to bring him on today to introduce him to you guys, obviously real estate investors. And what does a T look like? What does a TC do? What the heck is even a TC, right, Dave?
Right.
Because
Yeah. There
we'll
was
hear
there.
that sometimes.
Yeah. When I started, there was never any talk of TCs. It was just find a good title company and they'll do it all for you. And that was a lie.
Yeah. So Dave, do you want to get into what is a TC?
Guys, what we're going to do today, I've got a couple of slides for you. We're just going to kind of go through a little bit about, what a TC does, what we specifically do, what we've been able to do for some other people, what problems we can solve for you. And then, if that works for you, cool. If not, we'd still love to get on the phone and answer, any questions you might have. My name, obviously, David Olds. I own EZREI Closings and I'm the CEO and founder. And that is amazing. We're the largest transaction coordination company in the country by a long shot. And again, that's pretty cool today, but that is not how it started for me. Like a lot of you, I started, I had a 9 to 5 job. I was in Central Florida. I was at CFRI, which is the Orlando real estate group. And yeah, I got started exactly like everybody else, having a full-time job. And I started doing some deals on the side, some creative deals. And, things kind of grew from there. We had the big crash because I started in 2002. So it's been over 2 decades for me, which is a ridiculous amount of time. But yeah, in '09, we moved to Chattanooga because the market was just so bad in Florida. And we started a wholesaling company where we were doing wholesale deals and a lot of creative deals, a lot of owner finance deals, a lot of sub two deals. But, and first off, I know everybody gets on these things and wants to tell you all the great things about their life. I'm going to tell you all the terrible things, right? I'm going to tell you some of the things that I absolutely screwed up and it cost me so much time and money. And what it was in the very beginning, we moved here and first off, I was broke. Like I was half of broke. Like I didn't even have enough money to be considered really broke, right? Like it was me, my wife, 2 boys, and 3 fat dogs. We had next to nothing, and we had to do something. So we started out wholesaling. Well, we started out generating leads, and then we wholesaled some. Then we, after we got our feet underneath us, we started buying some of those properties. But to kind of go back to the thing that I screwed up the most is, and I don't know if any of you have ever felt like this, or if you want to be honest and throw it in the chat, but I had this little bit of narcissism that a lot of investors and hustlers and entrepreneurs have, and that was nobody can do it better than me. I'm the best. Nobody works harder than me. I can't trust anybody else. And that line of thinking and that other thing, people like I'm a control freak and they wear that as a badge of honor, right? All of those things, I did all of them. Right. Like I worked 14, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I had half days on Sunday, which were 7 or 8 hours. So like I have been there. I've done all of the things. But what I realized after a while was, there was just a limit. There's a limit of the things that I could possibly accomplish during the day or during the week or during the month. And, there was really literally I would had a ceiling on my business because I had to have my hands in every single thing. And kind of to go back to that, and I don't even know if narcissism is the right word. I'm not a shrinker. I didn't go to school for that. But, that kind of that thought process that I had to do everything, the reality is there is some stuff that I'm amazing at my company, as are all of you. Every single person on this call has an attribute that they are amazing at, right? But you're not good at everything. And that was a little bit tough for me that was a little tough for me to swallow. But once I realized that, right, I realized that I didn't have to be the bookkeeper. I didn't have to be the accountant. I didn't have to be the property manager. I didn't have to be the person closing these transactions, right? Like once I realized that and started bringing in, and some of those were in-house people. I've done like Jenn and Joe, I've tried bringing, in-house bookkeepers, I've done all of the different things. But ultimately what I realized is I needed to bring in the best, right? And the best aren't always, I always thought they were going to be so expensive that I couldn't afford them. But, I needed to bring in those people to run that particular part of my business, right? I have no idea how to run a Google PPC campaign. None. Like zero. I sat down with a buddy of mine who's amazing at it, sitting in Phoenix. We sat there with our 2 computers next to each other, and he pulled it up on his computer. I pulled it up on mine. He started showing me. I knew 5 minutes into that conversation, there was zero chance that I was going to run a Google AdWords account, right? So I went out and I just hired somebody to run it for me. And what happened? We got a ton of leads, right? I went out and I found a great bookkeeper. What happened? I stopped having problems with my accountant. My accountant started liking me a lot more, right? I went out and found a property manager and found out that, oh my goodness, my rents went up 20% because I had them all under rented and they were doing a far better job than I was, even though I was paying them 7% of collective rents. Same thing, we'll talk plenty about TC. So I just like to kind of put that out there. I don't want anybody to think that, just because I've been doing this a long time, like that I came out of the box figuring it out, right? So I like to kind of share some of the problems and tribulations that we had in the beginning because it's important, and I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and not many people really talk about that. But kind of the issues that I had are probably a lot of the same ones that you all had, right? I would sit and look like, well, geez, how is it that, people get on here and say, you can work less and make more? Well, that sounds like absolute nonsense because I'm working 16 hours a day. There are no more, I can't possibly work less because I can't get everything done. I've got to do it in 16 hours, right? And, I see these other investors that are making just boatloads of money and they're golfing half the time, right? Like I'm terrible at golf, but I'd love to learn. But I don't have any more time. And, who can show me how to take just some of this work off of my plate? But the problem was I wasn't open to that because I was the control freak, right? I had to do it all myself. And, ultimately the thing that all of us want to do, at least in some manner, is to scale up your company. And, to do that, right, the way that we make money is we scale up, but we have to keep expenses low because, the difference between, or, revenue and expenses is obviously your profit. So you don't want to be, doing a business that does 900,000 a year and spending 850 in expenses, right? Now you just have a really super expensive hobby. So, what I want to share with you guys is how you can grow your business faster, especially working with us. Beyond that, how you can stop this on my computer, how you can grow your business and, do more deals, but lose less of them at the closing table, right? Because I'm sure everybody here, if you've never lost a deal, I want to hear from you. If you've never had a deal die because of bad title, please tell me. You'd be the first one that I've ever met because it's happened to me over and over and over. And I can tell you just so many stories, even with working with an investor-friendly title company, right? When I first came to Chattanooga, there was one title company that everybody went to. It was First Title, downtown Chattanooga. And this was the investor-friendly title company. And I would go down there and, I would take my contract, and I'd give it to, there was an attorney, and I'd drop it on his desk. I'm like, another contract. And this would happen 1 out of 3 times. He would come back to me and be like, oh, Davey, and I hate to be called Dave. Be like, hey, Davey, yeah, this one probate, a dead person. They're gonna have to go through probate, and when they get done, you can come back. I'm like, well, how long is that going to take? He's like, 6 to 9 months. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? So, that was a contract that was gone. I'd come in again, and it would be, missing heirs, or oh, this one needs a suit for quiet title. But what was happening is over and over and over again, I was taking these contracts and throwing them away because the investor-friendly title company told me that we could not get this done. And, finally, one day I got so mad, I slammed my hand down on the table. I'm like, dude, come on, man. I just left this lady's house. I told her I could solve this problem. What can we do? There's got to be something we could do. What would you do? And that, everything in business and in life is asking the right questions. And he's like, well, he thought about it and looked at me for a second. And at first I thought I was in trouble because I kind of got a little boisterous, right? And well, I guess if you can do this, this, and this, and get me this thing, give me that thing, and these 2 other things, yeah, I guess we could get it closed. And I'm like, bro, what are you like? We've thrown 3 of these deals away this year. Like, what do you, and our average deal back then was $15,000, right? I'm like, what do you mean? So what I learned there, right, was that even the investor-friendly title companies that's supposedly going to be so great, they are not going out of their way to help you, right? Because what do we do as investors? We bring the crazy. It's our job. We go out there and look for people with problems. And the more problems that we can solve, right? Death, divorce, taxes, probate, bad tenant, whatever it is, the more problems we can solve, the better discount we can get. But title companies hate dealing with all that stuff. That's why they don't love investors. That's why so many title companies you go to just, they just won't deal with us. So little kind of side story there, but also, I want you to focus on the parts of your business that you enjoy. There's a great book out there called Buy Back Your Time. I think that's what it's called, by Dan Martell. Amazing book. You guys should be reading that. And it kind of goes back to the same thing. You're amazing at some things in your business, but the things that you're not, right? Try them, learn them. Like, you need to understand how they work, but you need to outsource that or hire somebody that can do it for a fraction of what your hourly wage is, right? And when you start to focus on just the parts of your business that you enjoy, right? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to be more jazzed up to get up and go in the morning, or, go jump on the computer, or start talking to sellers if that's what you like to do, or start doing dispositions, which I love to do. And, now you've got experts running those other parts. And that's when you start to see that just really exponential growth. And kind of that's how you're going to get to, achieving that work-life balance. Because I'll tell you, I did not have it. Like I didn't have it, and starting a company is hard enough as it is. It's a big lift, but none of us got into this business to work 16 hours a day, did we? Like, I don't know about you guys, but probably a lot of you are like me, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, I want to go out there and I want to build this future and I want to, I want to have the life that I want to lead. But none of it was, let me see if I can fight with title companies and figure out how to solve a monument of title, right? Where do I go get lost death certificates? How do I find this trust document, right? Like all of those types of things. That's not why we got into this business. So, some of the ways that we can handle, and help you grow, because our motto is we want you to do more deals, make more money, and have more freedom, is we're going to handle all of the tasks for you in your closing. So literally from the moment you have that contract signed, you hand that over to us, you're done, right? It's a white glove service. We're gonna take that off your plate. Are we gonna have communication with you? Certainly. If there's something that goes sideways or we need to, get clarification, of course we're gonna have communication. But we're gonna take care of all that for you. And we have lots of different plans and levels. Like if you're doing 1 deal or 2 deals a month, or you're doing 40 deals a month. I just onboarded somebody last night that's doing, they had 32 active deals on their board. And they're going to come on and we're going to to help them get going. So we can certainly help you as you grow, and we want you to grow, right? We want to see you ascend kind of up that ladder, and I want to be able to do it for you in a way that that's very, very cost effective. I will tell you, and we could talk about it more at the end, like hiring us is less than hiring the guy who flips fries down at McDonald's. Like we are incredibly cheap, far cheaper than you could bring somebody, into your own office. And, not only, just bringing somebody into your office, Jen was talking earlier, or Joe was talking before we jumped on here, just bringing somebody into do transactions for you is, that's probably not the answer. Because unless you're an expert at it, well, who's going to train them? Right. So maybe you're just going to like cross your fingers and cross your toes and say, oh, I'm going to hire somebody that has experience as a realtor and bring them in to do these things. And the reality is, again, like our business is different, right? We bring the crazy. So the worst thing that happens is you hire somebody and you think they know what they're doing, right? But yet they're not pushing the title companies. They don't know the right questions to ask. They don't understand how to expedite this paperwork. And then now you're paying that person and you're losing just as many, if not more deals. Like that's just absolutely the worst. And, that's just terrible. But ultimately, I mean, just imagine a world where you have your time back. And that happened to me. And I'll tell you a story about that, kind of how it happened in our business, where I just really had that massive moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to quit beating my head against the wall here. So, before we go too far, the question that I always get is, but can you do my deals? I'm like, yeah, we can do your deals. Last year, we did over 2,200 files. So if we took everybody in this group and 5 other coaching groups together in their lifetime, they won't do 2,200 deals. And we did that just last year. $238 million in closings. And we generated, last year, and we've actually almost hit all of these numbers so far this year. That's how quickly we're growing. But we generated $29 million in assignment and novation fees and sub-2 fees and all that kind of stuff for our clients. So yeah, we can 100% handle the deals that you're doing. And that's the benefit of having a company that's owned by a real investor and run by investors is, we were built for you guys, right? I mean, honestly, the company was built for me, and I'm kind of a dick, right? I wanted to make sure that everything was going to be done correctly, that it was going to be done for me. We ran a very scaled up wholesale company with a lot of rentals. And, so I see everything from your point of view, right? Is Easy handling things in a way that, help you run your business and help make it easier. So kind of just like to throw that in there just to let you know and kind of remove that, that question from your mind. Yeah, we can 100% handle your deals. So, everything we're about here, we're about compressing time and solving problems, right? So what are your problems? Your problems are the exact same ones that I had 15 years ago, lost opportunities and missed deals, right? If you are spending your time on the phone back and forth with the title company, what are you not doing? Well, you're not talking to your leads. You're not doing your follow-up. You're not talking to your tenant buyers or your end buyer or, whoever it is, however you're dispositioning this deal. You're not doing those things. And, if you don't think that's a real thing, that you're missing deals, I have news for you. I've done over 1,600 wholesale deals myself. I can tell you, I've done a lot of this business. And, because this is what happens with a title company. Tell me if any of this has ever happened to you, right? You turn your contract in, or you email it over. I almost said fax it. Oh, I was dating myself. You send it to the title company, and they call you up and they're like, "Yeah, Joe Smith, is he married?" I'm like, "I don't know." Well, they're like, "Well, we need to know." I'm like, "Oh, okay, click." So I go over, I call Joe. I'm like, "Joe, are you married?" Nope, divorced that, whatever crazy name he's going to say, 6 months ago. I'm like, "Okay, great. Good for you, Joe." Back to the title company. Nope, he's divorced. And they're like, "Oh, okay, great. Before or after he bought the property?" I'm like, oh, back to Joe. "Joe, when did you get divorced?" 6 months ago, right? "Oh, and you've owned the property for 10 years. Got it." Call the title company again. "Nope. He got divorced while, a couple of 6 months ago, whatever. He's owned it for 10 years. Awesome. We need a copy of the divorce decree." And this is what happens with title companies, because not a one of them ever asks you all the questions that they're going to need at one time. Right? It's my camera just froze up. They are all going to, kind of give you these things one at a time. It's never going to be like, "Oh, here's this complete list of things that we need, and switch to this one. And here, let's just do this all at once," right? So beyond that, complicated deals that never close. Again, how many times did I go to the title company and, give them something and they're like, "Nope, can't close this one," or there's so many, hurdles that you just can't get them all done, right? There's 14 heirs, or there's someone in Europe, or somebody's in prison, right? All of these things that just keep you from getting your deals closed. And then, beyond that, we talk about missed deals. Like, how much time are you spending on paperwork and just problems on things that, like, you're not great at, right? Like, let's be honest, again, there are parts of your business that you're amazing at. Most of you do not love paperwork, right? Entrepreneurs, as a kind of a group, right? We're that, let's jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down, right? Like, that's kind of the people that we are, not, the opposite side of that coin, which is, I love paperwork and solving problems, right? It's not the thing that gets us jazzed up and out of bed in the morning. Beyond that, even further, if you're going to bounce around the country, which you should right now, because life is so much different for an investor than it was 15 years ago with data and technology and software. You could be in the best markets in the country tomorrow, right? You can just pop around all over the place, but there's 50 states, 50 different rules, right? So you've got, attorney states, abstract states, title company states, and escrow states, right? You've got all kinds of different ones. So you got to do things a little bit differently in all of those. But then there's almost 3,200 counties who all love to do things just a little bit different, right? So, when you're in those counties, even if you're buying it for yourself, you want to know that you are doing all of the things, or somebody is doing all of the things to get you clear title, right? Because you don't want to pass this off to an end buyer or buy it and portfolio it yourself if you're not going to have clear title, right? Because that's a big problem. We had somebody just the other day that called up, and he's one of our clients. He's like, "Hey, I need to get this thing closed in just a couple of days." I'm like, "Okay, like, we can always do this for you on a quick claim deed, but, like, let us at least run a title search." And he's like, "Oh, I really don't want to." I'm like, "Bro, just let us run a title search." And we found a $16,000 child support lien on there and two other small ones for, a couple grand each, that basically, this guy would have taken on that $20,000 worth of liens had we not done that for him. So, it's important to make sure you've got a well-trained team, somebody that's looking out for you as you're doing your business, right? So, why trust us? Again, I've been doing this for over 20 years, done thousands of deals myself. And, the company was designed to serve me, right? And I'm just like you guys, and I have experience with the wholesale, sub-2 innovations, wraps, creative, like all the crazy and wacky stuff. But, something that was important to me, a couple of things when we started the company, was, after going through this and feeling like I've been lied to by every title company in the past, right? We wanted to make sure that, as you guys came on and we were helping people, that we could help them in all 50 states, right? Because real investors work in more than just one place, right? I mean, some people just work in one town, that's cool. But, you have the ability now to bounce around anywhere. And even if you're only working in Pensacola today, you may want to be in, Huntsville next week, right? Just all of a sudden, you may want to start doing deals in other places. So we had to make sure that we could do deals in all 50 states, and we're the only company that has actually closed in all 50 states. All of our team members are here in Chattanooga, right, in our office. So we don't use VAs, and that's not to say that VAs are bad. Like, VAs are good. We use them for marketing, but, everybody is in the office, right? And maybe that's me. I'm a little bit old school, but, I like everybody kind of, we call it like around the campfire. We like that environment where everybody's in here helping each other. And, it's that sort of team effort, so that, also we know that they are committed to getting all of your deals closed every day. So all of our certified coordinators, they're here. We've done over 5,000 files. Like we've just done a ton of them. But everybody here is focused on getting your deal closed. So we don't wholesale anymore. We don't do coaching. We don't do any of those things. Everybody, we have over 20 people in our office, and we're growing constantly every month. Everybody is just like single-mindedly here to get your deals closed. So, ultimately, like I told you before, we want you to do more deals, make more money, and have more freedom, but literally just, enjoy your business. Like, what was the reason that you got into this business? What was the thing that, that made you want to get into real estate? And, if you left your corporate job, like, what were you searching for? Right? It was probably some freedom, right? Well, we don't want you to be spending all of your time doing paperwork, right? Paperwork stuff that you're not great at and stuff that you don't love. And, after, 238 million just last year and probably 400 million total, we've proven that we can do this for you and hundreds of other investors. So somebody like Sam Hopkins, one of our early clients, amazing guy. He works out of Virginia, and I love Sam, young guy, but like the quintessential wholesaler, right? Out there running around a million miles an hour, does everything his coach tells him to do, but absolutely terrible at paperwork, like horrible, like the worst. And, you can see we smoothed out the process for him. And, he was pretty happy that we were able to eliminate a lot of that paperwork and all those administrative tasks. And again, because of that, because we were able to take that off his plate, Sam got 30% of his time back. And all of a sudden now he's doing more deals. And, Sam actually did so many deals. He actually kind of ascended up into multifamily and doing a lot of other stuff. So super, super proud of him. But again, the challenges are all the same. If you're wholesaling, 50% of your deals are never going to close. It's just a fact, right? If you're really good, maybe 60% close. But the reason for that is they don't close for one of two reasons, right? Getting them sold is a problem, and that's maybe an acquisitions issue. You didn't contract it at the right price. But also, title issues, right? How many times am I going to take this contract in, and my attorney, who I forgot to tell you, I nicknamed him Dr. No because he was like a James Bond villain to me. Dr. No is going to tell me, oh, Dave, you can't get that one closed, right? And that was an investor-friendly title company, or so I thought. Remember calling Mr. Smith back and forth, gathering up all that paperwork, right? Well, what happens when, there's 10 or 15 heirs, or, you've got to track down the buy here, pay here car lot to get that lien release, or, child support liens, or there's a lost mortgage. Like, where do you go for all that stuff? I don't know, man. I mean, are you going to spend the next 2 or 3 days, 4 days, a week searching for it, and then maybe still not even be able to get to close that deal? Or just let us handle that. And you go out, and in the meantime, you've snagged 2 more deals that are going to get you another $30,000. And in the meantime, we're solving these problems for you so you can get that $20,000 to go through, right? And that's what we do, right? We just solve those complicated title issues, but it's sort of all behind the curtain, right? At the Wizard of Oz, we do everything we can to, not involve you in that kind of stuff, because I want you out doing more deals. Right? I want you to grow your business. That's the thing that kind of jazzes me up the most, right? So, and then just normal stuff, right? Like coordinating signatures and closings, and you've got 5 or 6 heirs, or a buyer and a hard money lender, and just all of these different people. Sometimes it is like herding cats on crack, right? Getting them all done on the same day so that this paperwork can be done. And, of course, we talked about the last 2 here, right? Understanding local laws and regulations, and just all of the different things, like places like Birmingham, Alabama, which is a terrible market. None of you guys should be there. But they've got this weird rule about getting a lien release from the water company, which, how would you know that? Right? Like, how would you know that you need to get that? So, if you wait till the last day, or you don't even know, and your title company tells you on the last day that you got to go out and get this thing, well, that's going to hold up your closing, right? Maybe that costs you your buyer or your seller. Or if you go, there's some spots in Western Pennsylvania that also have some weird, like, last minute rules, or some places need a rental inspection. Like, somebody has to know all of those things. And because we've done deals in all 50 states, we can help you, because I don't want you to lose your deals. I don't want you to have lost revenue, right? We're as invested in your company as you are, because I want to see you grow, because the more you grow, the more deals we're going to close, and the more money we're all going to make together. So we're very single-minded about that. Talking about guys who've grown their company, Alex Romanoff is probably one of the top 2 or 3 success stories that we've had. So Alex, when he came to us, he was already doing 97,000 a month. Like, let's be clear, 97,000, clearly awesome, right? Already at the top of the pile. But he still looked at his business, and even somebody like that recognized, oh, there's something that I can do that's better. So they were at 97 in March. What does it say? 97 in revenue. And in March, yeah, they started in March. And by the end of May, they had scaled up to 750,000 in 1 month. Why don't you just ponder what that looks like in your bank account? Now, did I sign any contracts for him? No. Did I negotiate contracts? No. What happened was he had this really big team, and every single person on his team, when they sold a deal, they had to go find the title company and do the TC work and do the scheduling, right? So that's what the transaction coordinator does. They do all of that paperwork. Well, imagine this. Imagine this for a minute. You go out and you hire the best closer there is, right? That's what we all want, the best closer that at least that we can find, right? So you've got the Michael Jordan of closers on your team. Somehow you got this guy. Well, imagine, I don't even know when he was I'm not the basketball guy, but he was on the Bulls in the early 90s, right? Like you have Michael Jordan on your team and you go down there and you're like, hey, Michael, I want you to stop doing free throws. It's Tuesday. We don't have a game. Can you come up here and help accounting write some checks? Hey, Tom Brady, don't worry about practicing this week. I need you to help the janitors. They need some mopping in the halls, right? That's literally what you're doing if you're taking your closers off the phone to go do transaction work. It's not the thing. One, it's not what you hired them to do, but it's not their personality type, right? Like closers are sharks. Like they want to be on the phone making money. So if you're taking them out of that spot, same with you, right? If you're taking them out of their zone of, excellence or brilliance or whatever, and you're putting them on administrative work, like you're going to kill them, right? Like one, they're not selling stuff. They want to be selling stuff because they want to make money, but you're like literally making them walk through quicksand. And what's going to happen is you're going to go and be like, Joe, why didn't you sell these 3 deals this week? Well, I was trying to find a title company in West Virginia and I was asking people on Facebook and still working on it, man. Come on, that's dumb. How much money is that costing you? You talk about cost of lost deals. That's what happens. But now with Alex, now his team, and he had a big team, all of a sudden now they're focused, right? They got like Superman lasers working on deals. And that's how these companies are growing so quickly. Again, I'm not closing their deals for them, but now they're focused on just the stuff that matters. So, what's different about us? There are definitely some very small TCs out there that'll do 2 or 3 deals a month for you. That's great if that's what you choose to do. You should probably hire somebody, but we're the only company that can serve you in all 50 states and do all transaction types, right? So no matter if it's wholesale, innovation, sub-2, sub-2 assignments or lease options, whatever it is. Sorry, somebody's requesting something. We're definitely the only people that can do that. And, with our team of coordinators who are all in the office, our goal for you is to make it as hands-off as possible, right? We want it to be 100% white glove service. You give us a contract, we will handle it from there. If we have an issue, we will 100% reach out to you because we want to make sure that it gets closed. And as the owner, when I was forming the company and we were kind of running through this and we had it on our whiteboard and we were drawing it all out, right? The thing that I wanted to make sure of, right, which is the most important thing, which if you guys should be thinking this in your head, how do I know these coordinators are going to care as much as I do, right? How do I know I'm just not going to drop this file in the portal and somebody's just going to look at it and go, all right, I got another deal. Another one to work on, right? So what makes us different is all of our coordinators are on a blended pay scale, right? So they all get salary, but they all get a commission when your deal closes. So what do you think that does, right? Obviously, they're not making 40,000 on the deal like you are, but now they start to care a lot and make sure that, and this is just human nature, we wanted to incentivize them to drag these deals over the finish line because that's, a good portion of their pay is based on that. So anyways, certified in office, turnkey, done for you. Every client gets their own customized portal. We call it a portal. It's a CRM. Basically, it's a site that you go to that only you can see your deals. You can't see anybody else's. Nobody can see yours, but you can see all the statuses that a deal goes through. It's kind of columns, and you'll see your deal move from left to right as it goes across there. But, so if you need 2:00 on a Tuesday morning, right, and you're in a panic, you wake up, oh my God, what's going on with 123 Main Street? You can literally log in on your phone, touch that little box, it'll explode out and show you all of the details, everything that's being done on your deal. And, hopefully Jen and Joe would agree, like we do a great job at taking notes. Like we are very, very good at, making sure that I would put our notes up against just about anybody, making sure because we're doing 800 files at a time, right? So we need to be sure that everything is there. But not only that, but all of our correspondence with title companies is in there, all the documents, just everything is all for you in one place. And, the second thing that was important to me when we started this was making sure that, you guys don't have experiences like I did with title companies, right? I would send my file over and, it would go to Penelope and I'd call Penelope a couple of days later and she's like, oh, Steve has it now. Great. I call Steve and there's a voicemail. Hi, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks. You need to call, Joe. And I call Joe and he's like, oh man, I just got these 40 files. I'm going to do the best I can. I'll get back to you in a couple of days. Bad, right? That's bad. Wouldn't that piss you off? Like, this is my $40,000 deal. Why don't you care? Get my thing closed, right? Well, the reality is they're just, some of these people are just overworked. So, when your deal comes in, it's assigned to one coordinator that obviously if they go on vacation or they get hit by an asteroid, there's a change, right? But we want one person assigned to that deal from beginning to end because like I told you at the beginning, everything for us is time compression, right? I want to make sure that this deal gets closed as quick as possible. Not right for you, because I want you to get paid. I want you to get paid as quickly as possible. But also for me, we take in 80 to 100 new contracts every week, right? We're like I Love Lucy at the end of the line with the pies, right? I got to get the old pies out to get the new pies in. So yeah, and just the last thing is, we want to hold your hand. Nobody got into this business to figure out how to be a title or abstract expert. It's just not the thing that we want to do. We want to be out there talking to sellers and buyers and making money. So Corey Geary, a lot of you guys might know him. Corey's got an interesting story. He was actually the guy that was showing me PPC for that other where we were talking earlier. But Corey did a ton of novations, and you can read a lot of that. But the interesting thing for him is he had a pretty scaled out company. He had two coordinators in his office, and when he hired us, he was able to eliminate two of those positions. Right, one of them went and did some sales. The other one he just let go. But that was $80,000 that he was paying them, and just payroll. That was just completely eliminated. Imagine in your company putting $80,000 back into marketing, right? Let's say it's $4,000 would be a lot, but let's just say it costs you $4,000 to get a contract. That's 20 more contracts that you would have marketing for, right? Think of what your average deal is. The average wholesale deal in the US is around 18,000, right? So imagine all of a sudden you've got that much more, 40, 50, $60,000, 68,000 or something in additional revenue that you can use that money for. So that's kind of powerful. And that's, when you start thinking like this is how CEOs think, right? This is how business owners think. How can I leverage, the tools that I've got, turn the dials, flip the switches so that I can do more with less? And that's what we want to help you with. Again, working with us, pretty simple. I don't want to keep going over the same thing, but, an expert team at a fraction of the cost. All of our coordinators are very well paid. Like, you would not want to hire them in your business because it would crush your payroll. I just paid $50,000 in payroll just the other day for 2 weeks. So, they're very expensive. And, we're not hiring people off of the street. All of our coordinators come with, some type of real estate or title or mortgage or collections. They come with experience. So, on top of that, we spend a month training them to how to work with investors and how to do investor type deals. So, you're getting those people at literally a fraction of the price. We're going to give you your own custom dashboard or portal. Again, dedicated coordinator. We now have an in-house title company, which is pretty cool. It took us about 16 months to launch that. We can also help you with really all types of funding, but transactional funding less than a percent. And inside the portal, we also give you kind of a VIP Rolodex of all of the vendors that I personally used when I was running my wholesale company, Nationwide Property Liquidators. Yeah, just a list of some of the people that we work with and that promote us, and Creative Finance down here. But yeah, just to say, again, not to brag, but we're the most trusted brand, in this sector of real estate. And if all of these people trust us, I would ask you to give us a shot. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what did we all get into this business for? What was your dream life? Like, all of us had a dream when we started this. Sometimes we forget because we're out there working just so incredibly hard. And I understand that. Believe me, I was that guy. I'm not kidding. I was the 14, 16 hour a day person, but I forgot, right? Like, I started this business. I left my corporate 9 to 5 to have freedom to travel, right? And this may not be your dream, right? Your dream may be, volunteering in South Africa, right? Opening an orphanage or working at the church, or maybe just something simple like I want to stay home and homeschool my kids, or, I want to be able to go pick up my daughter at school every day at 2 o'clock, right? That I can't do that with my corporate job. But what are those things, right? Like, we all have them, right? It may not be a private jet. Personally, I don't really care too much about a private jet, but maybe because I haven't been on one yet, right? But, what is the dream, and what changes do you need to do in your business so that you can get to that point, right? So that you can go to places like this, right? So that's kind of it for us, EZREI Closings. Again, I want to help you do more deals, right? I want to help you make more money and have more time and freedom, right? And again, like, time and freedom, that's yours to decide, right? You may want to spend it and do more deals. You may want to go sit on the beach in Puerto Rico and let me close your deals. I mean, I've got people that are in Europe where we close deals for them because it's a time difference. But whatever that means to you, and that means something different for all of us, I want you to experience that, because I can tell you there was a time in my life where I didn't. And if I could go back and change anything, that would be the thing, right? I would quit being stubborn. When I was at a point, I remember my brother saying, "We got to hire some VAs to do this stuff." I'm like, "Oh God, I don't want to do that." "Oh, we got to hire this person that could help us do that." "Oh, I don't want to do that." I'd rather keep staying up all night handwriting bandit signs and handwritten postcards and handwritten yellow letters, right? Because that's what it was like in 2010. But, more time and more freedom. But, to kind of sum it up, guys, if all we did was help you save one or two deals every quarter, right? Or one deal every quarter, 4 deals a year, right? The average wholesale deal in the US is 18,000. I think it was 263. If all we did was help you save those 4 deals and make, 70, whatever it is, $76,000 or $72,000 more a year, would that be worth it? I can tell you, the price of working with us is a fraction of that. I feel like it would be. But here's the other cool thing. This is something that I came up with quite a while ago, even before we started EZ, was we figured out how to add in a transaction fee into our contracts so that our end buyer could pay that fee. So imagine not having to deal with this, closing more deals, right? You're not have to hire somebody, which all of the madness that involves, which is, Indeed ads and, interviews that people don't ever show up for, and then making offers, and then people don't show up after they accept the offer. And then you got to train them and manage them, all of that stuff. Imagine if tomorrow you could have, our expert team of almost 20 coordinators working for you, right? Like how great would that be? And then, what if it was free, or, if you're doing 2 or 3 deals a month, even, you could turn it into a profit center. Pretty good. That's pretty much what I got for you guys. I'd love to open it up to questions. I love the question and answer part far more than me talking into the slides here. But take out your phone and scan this QR code. What you'll be able to do is that's going to pull up my calendar, my team's calendar, and let's have a longer conversation, right? Let's talk a little bit about your business, kind of what your goals are, what it is that you want to do, what you do last year, what was your goal for this year, and I'll show you the portal. We can kind of dig in deeper into your to your business, because that's very hard to do, in a group setting like this. And maybe some people don't want to talk about what they're struggling with, but let's talk about it. Again, guys, we have hundreds of clients all over the country. If you're, what are you want to ask what some of those people are doing and how it works for them. I can't give you their names or their dollars, but we can in general terms talk about, what the biggest investors in the country are doing, and, why they chose us and how we're helping them. So that's kind of it. I mean, I'd love to do some questions if you guys have any.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
They're going to drop them down here.
Yeah.
Well, and I got to say too, is it's been really helpful because we have been using you.
Yeah.
And I got to say, it's like there's a few things that are really important to me when I'm doing business with anybody. And you got to have a great relationship. Like you won't do business with people who A, don't do their job very well, and B, maybe they do, but they don't treat you very well. Like that's the two things that Dave's team does exceptionally well. They're all about customer service. And it's because Dave came from a real estate investor background before he was doing this. He was doing this himself and realized, hey, this is not fun, right? And it's taken up a lot of time, but he came from that background. So he understands having that deal closing like on time and how much money is on the line and pressure, it could weigh on you, right? So as you as the owner, because I have some of these deals I'm looking at, like we're making a deal right before we hopped on here today. So Dave, you'll be seeing another one coming from us. So with that being the case, though, it's really important to make sure you have the right kind of synergy with somebody that you're doing business with, and then have that expertise, because I think some of you dropped earlier, like every state, every county is a little different. And I know in PA, we have to do that like sewer dye test.
That's what it is. Yeah, I knew there was something up there. It was a
Yeah.
rambling.
Yeah, and we found out the hard way when we bought deals in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, every state. So just knowing that you literally have your people in every state that knows what's going on, like it's awesome.
Yeah, that's really key.
But yeah, did you want people to unmute, or do you want to?
Let's do it. I got time. Let's any questions you got? I mean, questions about us, transactions, closings, whatever you got. I'm happy to answer it. If you stump me, I will bring in Hannah and she will answer.
Ooh.
Oh, I hope we do. I love Hannah.
She's the best.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hey, Damien.
So, hey, everyone, thank you. Thanks for your presentation. I have a question on your notes TC work. I saw Eddie Speed up there, and then I saw them offering a notes TC. I was wondering, like, what, do you have access to MERS even, or, how far do you go working with asset managers and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do a ton of work for Eddie. In fact, he just sent us 8 files this morning. It's your job to send us the file. Like, we're not sourcing notes or doing any of that stuff. And I want to make sure I'm answering the question correctly. correctly. For us, it is, and depending upon how you're procuring the notes, right? Are you buying them on a tape, or are you buying it, a note from Jenn, right? If it's a note you're buying from Jenn, then we're very familiar with, we'll call up, we'll make sure that we have all that underlying supporting document, what was the credit check they did, where's the application, leases and all of those types of things. Is that kind of your question, or is it something different?
Yeah, we'll sort of like, do you have access to MERS as well too? Or
I'm going to say no.
do you go into the collateral file and help people build the collateral file and stuff like that, if they have to repaper?
For us, what we're doing with Eddie is not that. He is bringing us where we were kind of in between for him, where he is taking these notes, he's bringing them in again, either from a private seller. Sounds like you may know probably more about notes than I do. Either a private seller, or bringing them in off of from a tape. We're gathering up all of the paperwork that he needs to go ahead and package and break them apart and sell these packages off to his individual buyers. So we're on kind of the backside of selling them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have another question too, if nobody else.
Sure.
I was out of curiosity. So like every once in a while you get these weird liens, like mechanic liens from people, and there might be a difficulty in finding them, or the communication with them is really bad. And what title companies have always done with us in the past, they've said, hey, you have this lien there. I called him, he didn't answer. And then they pretty much walk away at that point.
Yeah.
And as a TC, like how far do you go? Where do you take it?
Oh, we'll skip trace,
negotiate and stuff like that.
I'm not going to negotiate for you. Our team, the reason that we're really good is we stay in our lane. My people are not salespeople. And honestly, you don't want them negotiating for you. You want your salespeople negotiating. But as far as finding the liens, tracking the people down, getting that payoff, that's what we can do. And, depending upon how your contract is structured, how your transaction structured, that lien typically is paid by the seller anyways out of their proceeds, unless you're buying that for, hey, I'm going to take over your mortgage and give you $1,000 and I'll handle all the liens. That might be someplace where you would get in and maybe you're doing that and negotiate those liens down. But typically that's not something that we wouldn't do it for you. That's just not something that we do. That's not our specialty.
Okay.
But finding them, skip tracing them, not a problem. We can do all of that. Yeah. And what I always tell people is, kind of like, we're amazing at everything that we do, but if you have an uncooperative seller, you have an uncooperative seller, right? Like, I can't put somebody on a plane and send them to Phoenix to knock on somebody's door. Like, we can't do that. But if, no matter how big of a squirrel's nest of problems you have, if the sellers are on board with solving that problem and can at least give us the heir's name and phone number, like, we can do it for you. Like, that's not a problem. But if you just, even if you've got a great seller and 5 heirs, if one heir just digs his feet in, like, you're at a stopping point unless you want to do a petition of deed. And if you want to do that, we can certainly point you in the direction of an attorney that can open that file for you. But oftentimes, the way that your seller will look at us and your buyer will look at us as an independent third party, right? So if you call up and you're the one trying to negotiate with the fourth brother, or at least get them on the phone, you're the dickhead who's giving the money to the other heirs, right? They don't want to. We're just a neutral third party, and what will happen is clients will say, you guys are the clients, the sellers and the buyers will tell us all kinds of stuff that oftentimes they won't tell you. So our team is trained, like, if Damien, you've got a file and you're talking to Mrs. Smith, and for some reason she gets frustrated, or she lets our coordinators know, because they will tell us a lot of stuff, that somebody else made them an offer and they're thinking about taking that offer. Like, immediately, it's not even a question. They will hang up that phone and call you until you answer and let you know, right? Because you're our client, you're the person that we have to protect. But yeah, we get so many weird things. Like, one of our guys the other day, we were in a meeting. He's like, yeah, I was talking to the seller the other day and he was very happy to tell me that he was in the tub while he was talking to me. I mean, like, weird stuff. weird. So, that's what you get. Like, wholesalers, they bring the weird, that's what
the rubber ducky squeaking and everything over the phone.
I didn't ask all that. I tried to move on in the meeting as quick as we could. So that's a better question for, you're out someplace having a beer to get into that. But anyways, it's funny and humorous sometimes,
Well, sellers do some like unpredictable things. It just like blows your mind. So the longer you do this, the more you're going to have deals go backwards. Like Dave said, things will happen, and you just got to keep going. And like, I think one of the things that really stood out earlier, you said it in the very beginning, is you'd bring a deal to, one of the best title companies around, and they're like, no, you can't close this. And they're like, well, maybe you can if you do X, Y, Z, right?
We had to push them to get to that point,
Right. Well, and that's kind of the point, is it's also about aligning with the right title company and attorney, which you guys, we delve that out.
Yeah.
So
we were very intentional. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Yeah, we were very intentional. Honestly, the way I started the company, to be honest, is I'm like, oh, I'll just find one nationwide title company. It'll be easy for my team. It'll be great for them. We'll form this little partnership and everything will just be smooth sailing, right? We all have this fantasy when we're starting our companies of how things are going to go. And this is probably the one thing that didn't work out the way I planned. And the reality of it was, one, like the owner wanted to do it, but his team did not. So they did everything they could to drag their feet. Two, we literally broke them even in our first couple of months because we're giving them 30 contracts at a time and they just couldn't handle it. So, we realized very quickly that we had to spread this business out. So, even before we opened our own title company, we had 400 partner title companies across the country for a lot of reasons. One, we don't ever want to overwhelm somebody, right? I don't want to give so many files that we break them, even our best people, right? And obviously we have some title companies that we love more than others. Maybe it's a personality thing, but I don't want to give them 40 files in a week because we will break them. We'll break their company. They just can't handle that kind of stuff along with their other deals. But even further than that, we realize that just because somebody will do a wholesale deal does not mean they'll do sub two, does not mean they'll do a novation. And even if they'll do a novation, they may not do a sub two assignment. You know what I mean? So that's what precipitates having all of these different title companies and backups in all the different states. And then some are like specialists. If you went to San Antonio and had a deal, it's just a straight deal, cash deal, I might send it over here. But if we know that it is, there's a bunch of lost heirs or, whatever it is, like a bunch of heirs, we have a title company in that region that has a genealogy department. That's who we're going to send that type of deal to. So it's understanding stuff like that and who are the right people to get your deal closed. Because one, I want your deals to close. You trust me to get your deals closed. I'm going to get everything closed that possibly can be closed. And two, our coordinators wanted to close because they're going to get paid, right? So everybody's pushing in the same direction.
Yay.
Yeah. So
you want to drop some more of those questions?
I was going to say, yeah, if you want to read the questions.
Someone wants to know more about pricing. That would be a great way to get on a phone call with you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what I'll tell you is pricing is going to vary depending upon how many deals you're doing a month, right? Our base plan is 1 to 5, and then it goes 6 to 10, it goes 11 to 20, 30 to 21 to 30, and it kind of goes up from there. So yeah, let's jump on a call. If you scan the QR code, you can go ahead and book a call, and yeah, let's get on there and talk about the specifics of your business.
Well, the flip side of that too is how you guys get paid on those T deals. You were the first one that said that, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait a second, like you can actually make money from TC.
Yeah. I mean, if you did 5 deals with us, it would work out to like $400 a closing, which is by far the cheapest. If you went, maybe the other community that's out there, there are people closing deals at, $1,000 to $1,600 per deal. It's ridiculous. And they're like, oh, well, if it's a sub two assignment, we're going to add $500. I'm like, come on, man, that's crazy. Every deal's the same price. We work them all just the same. So we're literally just a fraction of the price of some other people, and honestly do it at a, 5 times higher rate. But yeah, 100%. We will, when we do your onboarding for you guys, you'll talk to Hannah, who we mentioned earlier. She's our client success manager. And, she will set up a series of calls, 1 call a week for the first month, 1 every other week for the next 2 months, and then once a month after that. But she's your kind of go-to person outside of your coordinator to help with this type of stuff. Like, hey, Hannah, can you review my contract? Hey, Hannah, I'm thinking about going into North Dakota. What are you seeing up there? Are there, are people doing novations in North Dakota? Like, we have all that data because we're doing thousands of deals. But yeah, I forget what the original question was, but I think I went off on a tangent there.
No, just the pricing and hop on a call. It depends.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yep.
So yeah,
Next. Yeah. Next question is, are you using any AI tools in your software in your business? If so, which ones?
There's a title company that's trying very hard to lean into AI. And the reality is this is a people business, right? We have to get on the phone with people and talk to them. Right. There's no, believe me, I'm always looking for efficiencies in the business. I have meetings once a month with it's an efficiency meeting, but there's nothing that's going to replace me getting on the phone with your seller and asking the right questions, because it's those conversations where you start to realize, we have you guys have seen it. We have a seller onboarding doc that's 4 or 5 pages. It's very thorough. We ask all of the questions up front because after doing thousands of these deals, we're like the Matrix, right? I can see the bullets coming way, way ahead, because we ask all the right questions. And that questionnaire is really just a place where we start. Oh, dead person. Great. Now there's a new checklist, right? Obituary, death certificate, draw me a draw me a picture of who all the heirs are, right? I want you to draw me a family tree. So that just kind of kicks off the beginning of all the next problems. So AI is amazing. It's just not something that works in this business. And, I want people to have their hands on your file every day. The last thing I want to do is trust some computer program to making sure that your deal closes, and it breaks. And then, 3 weeks down the road, we realize that nobody's done anything on your deal and you're ready to close. So now we're still a very people business.
That's why we love you.
Get that. What else we got?
Evelyn's asking, is your in-house title company servicing all 50 states as well?
Okay, first off, there is not one title company in the entire country that services all 50 states. Shocking, I know, but First American, we do have a partnership with First American. They do not even cover all 50 states, and they are the largest, title company provider and underwriter in the country. So no, we're licensed right now in mostly Southeast US states, and we're adding them kind of, one at a time as we can. I will tell you that starting a title company was far more complicated than I thought. The optimist entrepreneur brain of mine is like, we'll get this up and running in 3 or 4 months. Not a problem. We're better than anybody else. Again, right? That whole thing. And it was far more complicated. Every state is a little bit different, and getting background checks and underwriting approval and, taking courses and all of the different things. So our goal right now is we're working basically the data from just public record, like Investor Lift, like where are the most deals happening? Those are the states that we're targeting rapidly first: Texas, Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, like those states that have the highest volume. The backup for those is we have a partnership with First American where they do the back end part of those deals. But eventually we'll probably be licensed in 20 or 25 states. So yeah, no sense of me spending the time and energy to get licensed in North Dakota, right? Probably not a lot unless the biggest wholesaler in North Dakota comes along and wants to do 40 deals a year. It's just not worth it for us. But great question. I mean, that's a very common question.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And then Omar is asking, and he says, yes, I know it depends, but what's your average turnaround time?
It 100% depends. I will tell you that, Omar, that's exactly right. I will tell you what our average is in a minute. But yeah, the problem is it depends more on you, Omar, than it does me, right? How quickly are you going to bring your buyer, right? So for me, and that's a great question, because I know I didn't talk about this at the beginning, right? So I want you to upload that contract to me the minute you get it signed with your seller. Like literally, the faster you can do it, the faster I can get to work on it, right? So Jen gets a contract or Joe gets a contract, they're going to upload it. It's drag and drop, right? Like it's made for me and I'm not that smart, right? Literally a 10-year-old could do this. Drag and drop your contract in there. It's going to come to our team. Steve, my team lead manager, he's going to look at it and go, okay, it's in this state and it's this type of deal. We're going to assign it to a title company. We're going to assign it to a coordinator. Claudia's going to get that, boom. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm working with Joe on your deal over here at 123 Main Street. Hey, Mr. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way till closing, because I want them out as much as I can. Go do your next deal. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I need to collect some information for the title company so I can get you paid just as quickly as possible, right? And that kind of begins this whole process of collecting all of that information. So I have to do all that on day one, because I have to assume that you're going to want to close this tomorrow, right? You're going to dispo it, you're going to portfolio it, whatever it is. I have to assume that you're going to have want to get this thing done tomorrow. However, we are in a waiting period, right? So it may take me a couple of days to a week, right, to get this information, depending upon how complicated it is. But it's more so varies on you and how quickly you get your buyer. Also, novation deals are and we do, because we have investors that do all of these deals. Novation deals are typically stretched out. Sub-2 deals are going to be quicker because, you may be closing on it yourself. That could be just, a couple of days. Wholesale deals, maybe 10 or 14. But our average across all deals is 42 days. So all of that to get to that, I wanted to put some kind of context behind it.
Yeah. I think too, just knowing like the different states kind of just require a different time too. But you guys do everything in your power to make it go as fast as possible.
Dude, I'm on my people all the time. So the way the portal works, and you guys have seen it, what you don't see because the behind the scenes, our system looks different. That's just the client facing side. But we are constantly tracking how many days it takes on average to go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, right? So that's our team is held to those KPIs, to those metrics. So, once we start, if it starts to get out of whack, then Heather or I or Steve, somebody's having that conversation, mostly Heather, having that conversation with them, because, for us, we treat that like, have you ever gotten in your car and you punch in the address in the GPS and it's like 2 hours and 12 minutes? What does every single person say? I can beat that, right? Mm-hmm. So we're always trying to get those numbers down as low as we can. So we're always trying to beat whatever last week's number was. So we are always struggling to, get them closed as fast as possible, because I tell the team, right? Little Bobby in Phoenix, this may be his only deal this month, and it's $22,000, and he's got a wife or a girlfriend, hopefully not both, and kids and VAs and cars, and the people have bills, right? We understand. I understand, because I was you. right? Like I know that you want these things closed just as fast as humanly possible. And that is what, we impart on the TCs. I don't do much of the day-to-day training for them on when they get hired anymore. But I do, that's the thing that I come in there and talk about is, trying to make them understand or teach them, like our relationship with you guys, our clients, and that, speed is important, right? Speed is so important. And, that I demand that they care about your deals as much as if it was their own money.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I love the portal too because as a more of like the COO, I guess I kind of hop in and just overlook things. But my team is the one like going back and forth, sending the emails. So like I can hop in and pull up the notes section, and every tidbit has been recorded with a date, and that's what I love seeing too. So whether it was an email correspondence or somebody checked in with that or this, that's really handy to have it all in one space. So I'm not sifting through a million emails to figure out what was going on. And then just the layout of the deals is really great too. I just love that.
That part I did do.
Yeah, I love that part. It's a very visually appealing. Okay, those are my deals, my contracts. Like I can see them moving down the pipeline.
Yeah, I tell people I'm not that smart. I'm an old school caveman wholesaler, and I wanted it to be simple, right? Because simple is scalable, right?
Absolutely.
The goal was not to make it this overcomplicated thing. I wanted it to be something where you could, at a snapshot, look at all of your deals, click it open. What did I buy it for? What am I selling it for? How much am I making? And here are the notes, and here's all the details, right? So
yep.
yeah.
And clearly labeled too. Like you said, you get one person assigned to your deal. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to call up Lee real quick just to let him know, like, hey, this go time, we got this, let's rock, and you can email or you can talk on the portal, but sometimes just, when I do call, it's nice to hear a voice too. So I love that.
He's amazing. And I don't know if he told you he's buying his first house at the end of this month. So we're very
Oh,
excited.
he didn't. Congratulations to
Did
him.
he tell you? Yeah, he came in. He's like, I want to buy a house. I'm like, bro, it's going to be easier than you think. Set up with a mortgage broker and an agent here in town. And like 2 weeks later, he's like, I'm buying a house. I'm like, I told you could buy a house. It's
Good
great.
for him.
All very excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, David. This was so helpful. I know, I can't say enough praises. You guys really are an awesome team. It was great meeting everybody last month at the Family Mastermind, and I definitely look forward to doing many more deals with you.
I appreciate it. One day when you're coming this way, you ought to come through and stop at the office. We'd love to have you spend some time here. Come
Absolutely.
hang out in Chattanooga too. It's a great little town.
I hear it's kind of popping. Like a lot of people are moving there and there's cool stuff to see.
It is. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country, which is great. We love that because all my 100 rentals, the prices just keep going up and up and up. But no, it's a cool, it's 300,000 people, great small town, lots of outdoor stuff, just good quality of life, no state income taxes. It's fantastic.
Well, there you have it.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best.